Local people, important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Today, a candid conversation with a woman who has led UNCW for the past 7 years. Chancellor Rosemary DePaolo talks about her triumphs and disappointments, her life before and after the top spot at, as she puts it, UNC Wonderful. Chancellor, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Don.
So, how tough a decision was it to leave?
Well, it's never an easy decision, but I was very lucky. I think there are people who know when the time is right, and early this year, I just knew it was the right time.
How long had you been thinking about it?
Well, my husband had been encouraging me to think about it for quite some time, quite frankly. But I had told him that I'd know when I was ready.
Yeah.
And then I came back to campus this fall, and I suddenly started realizing that we had achieved all the goals that I had worked with the community to achieve, and it seemed the right time to pass it on to someone else.
We know you lost your dad recently. Did that influence your decision?
No, I had told my dad exactly when I was when I was going to announce. Yes, he knew.
How old was your dad?
He was 92.
92.
But almost shot his age a couple of days before on the golf course. So.
How close were the two of you?
We were extremely close.
He must have been very proud of your accomplishments.
Yeah, he never graduated from high school, so yes, I'm a first-generation college student, and that has influenced everything I do.
So where'd you grow up?
Grew up in New York, and
what part?
On Long Island, mostly.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And then went to Queens College in New York, and then, you know, like any provincial New Yorker, I thought the world was New York, and so when I went to graduate school in New Jersey at Rutgers, I thought I was doing something terrifically exotic. And then moved down to Augusta, Georgia as my first job, and have never left the South since 1975.
You taught in Augusta? Taught in Augusta. Well, what was family life like for you? I mean, people know you as the chancellor. You grew up, you had a family environment. What was that like?
You mean when I was a kid?
Yeah.
Close-knit family. Not like, I think, your typical Italian family on TV or anything, but...
Brothers and sisters?
I have a brother who lives in New York.
Okay.
And we just were very close, spent all holidays together. And my mother was the one who pushed us about education. I remember one hurricane on Long Island. We had no electricity, and my brother and I were trying to get out of doing homework that night, and we said, there's not going to be school tomorrow, there's no electricity. And she said, Abraham Lincoln didn't have electricity, and if it was good enough for him, it's good enough for you. And
your mother said this?
We had to still do our homework. Yeah.
Right. So, it's interesting how our parents, we still hear them in our minds, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So as a youngster, what did you think you wanted to do when you grew up?
Well, you know,
I was teaching.
I think mostly I always knew that I wanted to teach. That was pretty much a constant after those initial small childhood fantasies that everyone has. But I love teaching. I knew that I wanted to do something with books. I had been reading since I was probably 3 years old. And so the idea that I could be paid to read books led me to become an English professor.
And I don't know how you'll answer this, but what kind of kid were you? Were you easy? Were you what kind of kid were you?
I think I was an okay kid.
Yeah.
You know, adolescence might have been a different matter, but I was an okay kid. I didn't give my parents too many problems.
Or followed all the rules? Or
well, you know, I grew up finally in the 60s in New York, so it was an interesting time to grow up, and I think it taught me something that has stayed with me. I still have this kind of, maybe what I describe as a Peace Corps mentality that I bring to higher education.
And you eventually met your husband, got married. Where did you meet?
He came to Augusta, what is now Augusta State University.
Where you were?
I was teaching
Teaching.
there, and he came over as a visiting scholar. He was at the University of Glasgow. We met, and I like to say that he fell in love with America and with me, and I never questioned in which order. And he was lucky enough to get a job, and
Did you like him right away?
Absolutely. It was like a conflagration right away.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And he was from?
He's actually English, but he was teaching in Scotland. Right.
Is there any connection between your doctorate in English and in English literature and your choice of husbands?
Well, we always had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, we were both, his field is actually Elizabethan and Jacobean, but he also wrote a book on Samuel Johnson. My dissertation was partly on Samuel Johnson. And so, you know, some of our happiest times were when, and a lot of people don't know this, we used to live summers on a sailboat.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And sail
Just the two of you?
Just the two of us, and sail up and down the coast. And
you were first mate or second mate?
well, you know, we were good mutual mates.
Good teammates.
But we'd read and we'd write and we'd talk literature and we'd sail. It was pretty.
And then you would
pretty
dock and
idyllic.
go wherever you were?
Mm-hmm.
How long did you do that?
5 years.
5 years?
Mm-hmm. Lost the boat in Hurricane Hugo.
Wow. Lost the boat. So your whole life changed then, and
It
for
did,
summers
but,
anyway.
But it was good.
So tell us a little about, excuse me, about your career before UNCW. You went to Rutgers, you got your doctorate in English Lit?
18th century English literature.
Right, and then you went to teach in Georgia.
Went to teach in Georgia and have actually bounced back and forth between Georgia and North Carolina my entire career. Taught at Augusta for 15 years, loved it, and then went to Georgia Southern University as an assistant dean in the College of Arts and Sciences.
Was that a big job get for you to become an assistant dean after teaching for so many years?
It was an interesting change for me. People said to me, you know, you're a teacher. That's what you do. That's what you love. How can you go into administration? And my view of administration has always been that I'm still teaching. I'm just not in a classroom. I'm teaching different constituencies this way.
Were you strict?
You know, I love teaching.
Yeah.
I just adored teaching.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. Fred and I sometimes would teach night courses, and we'd come home at 10 o'clock, and we'd be up half the night talking to each other about our classes. Or I'd have a great class, he'd have a great class, and we'd call each other, and we'd say, let me tell you about my class. There's never been a time since I went into administration where I called him and said, let me tell you about the great budget I just did.
We're going to take.
So it's a different world.
We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we'll talk about UNCW hires the first female chancellor. Stay with us.